To call the meeting of the Parks, Aquatics, Recreation, and Trails Commission to order. This is Wednesday, August 20th. Could we have roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Chairperson Fogg.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Ferry.
Present.
John Engelson has resigned. Commissioner Dory.
Present.
Commissioner Lawson.
Present.
Commissioner Mann.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
I'm here.
Thank you, sir. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item number 1, approval of minutes. Is there any discussion from the May 21st, 2025? Any discussion on these minutes? Could I entertain a motion to approve them?
Move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion, or do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion approved. We'll go on to item 2, call the public. Comments from the public. Those wishing to address the commission should fill out request forms in advance. Comments from the public will be restricted to items not on the agenda, with the exception of those on the consent agenda. There will be no comments allowed that advertise for a particular person or group. Comments should be limited to no longer than 3 minutes, and the commission may not respond to speakers during the call to the public. The commission may direct the staff to study the matter or request that the matter be placed on a future agenda. And I believe we have one person, Donna Peterson, who would like to speak on this. Her topic is the downtown pool, Grandview Pool.
Good morning. As a Kingman resident for over 50 years, I want to thank the Parks and Recreation Department for the excellent work done in maintaining our parks and creating events that bring our community together. However, I must share my disappointment with the current state of the downtown pool. While I understand it was recently renovated, the removal of the diving board and slide has left it far less engaging for our youth, especially compared to the Centennial Pool. The downtown pool is more than just a swimming facility. It is a gathering spot for families, children of all ages, and groups hosting parties. For many residents, especially those in the downtown area, this is the most accessible aquatic resource. To restore its appeal and ensure it continues to serve as a vibrant hub for the community, I ask the Parks and Recreation Commission to consider adding updated, fun, and interactive water features such as a climbing or floating obstacle feature for older teens and children, a replacement slide and smaller diving platform, an interactive water jet, mushroom fountains, or tipping buckets. I understand there are budget and safety considerations with any changes, but there are cost-effective and space-conscious options that could make a difference. Community interest in supporting for enhancements is strong, and exploring partnerships or grants could make these improvements possible without placing an undue burden on our city resources. In short, the downtown pool is a treasured part of our city's recreational offerings, but it is in need of renewed excitement to match its potential. By investing in engaging features, you can help ensure it remains a place where children laugh, families bond, and community spirit thrives. Thank you for your time, your ongoing service, and for considering this request to help bring more joy and activity back to our downtown pool. Although it is closed for this summer, I would hope this all could be ready for the hot summer of 2026, when it's time to go swimming at a fun downtown pool. And I did give some pictures that I'd like you to take a look at. If you don't see the downtown pool often, you probably aren't familiar with it, but there's a wading pool, and right next to it, there's a little grassy area back there that has a table that's never used. It's the only thing there. And that could be used to put in a water feature for the younger children. And then at the deep end, there's a long dirt patch with just some rocks sitting out there. And I think the teens would enjoy some activity down there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. We really appreciate that. And since we cannot comment on this, I would like to have that on our November agenda because it's well before the swim season for 2026. Okay. Is there anyone else to speak? Okay. Well, we're going on to number 3, the action items. Kingman Main Street Wind Phone Project Request. About this?
See if I can figure out how to pull it up for you, and then the video, if we want the video that you supplied,
Yes, that would be lovely. I
well,
think
when
that-
we want that.
Okay,
When you want that up there,
the
say
Vice
Joel,
Chair, Sarah
pull it up.
Ferry, requested that
Yeah.
staff bring this item to the commission for consideration. The wind phone project is a
perfect.
disconnected telephone booth or structure often found in quiet, scenic
So it won't
locations
open it up. Okay.
where people can speak to deceased loved ones. The proposed location is the White Cliffs South Trailhead at 711 North 4th Street. We can have discussion and
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
possible action.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm Annalie Laux, Ferry Laux. I've been a native Kingman resident here, and I am representing Kingman Main Street for the Wind Phone Project. I would like to first share a video. About probably 6 or 7 months ago, there was a video on the TV, and it just really captivated me. It was emotional, and it just seemed like perfect for something that Kingman should have. So I want to share this video with you guys and then kind of go from there. That's okay. So do I say Joel? Joel, video please. Oh, he's in the basement. Thank you, Joel. I don't know if we can hear it. Do we tell him we can't hear it? Joel, we can't hear it. Thank you.
No amount of change will ever make it work again, but people will still come to the Hassayampa River Reserve to use it. Say what they need to get off their chest. Say what they waited too long to say. It has no dial tone, because it is a
Start dialing your personal phone number. There's something about hearing the dial back. Hear something that's fake, imagine them there, and you're saying what you need to say. It's really powerful.
When Amy Dawson lost her daughter to a terminal illness in 2020, she made her own wind phone.
Some way, our bond, some way, our relationship had to keep
Do I need to tell Joel anything? No. So, let me go back to our little presentation. Oh, I can't control this at all, huh? Sorry. Okay, perfect. Okay. That was so it did actually say there was 4 locations in Arizona, but recently I pulled up the website and now there is an additional one, so there is 5. So it'd be really sweet if Kingman had number 6. But I just kind of wanted to show you this little wind phone. Oh, allow. Oh, website here. When you get on this website, it will have where you can locate. Oh, and look, it has 316 United States, 137 international, and 9 coming soon. So we could be 10 if you guys think this is a good idea, which I feel like would be really exciting. But I come in here and we can search our Arizona. And you can see there is a wind phone in Apache Junction, Benson, Green Valley, Lake Havasu, and Phoenix, and Tucson. But what's really cool is that some of these places can actually create a site. So if you were to come on here and click on it, like if I look at Green Valley, it has an actual website that it will take them to outside of the wind phone project. And it would have an entire explanation and a thing that is particular to their certain location. So that would be something that Main Street would look at providing or creating if the wind phone was something available, where you could go in and scan a QR code and it would take you right to like the Main Street guest book. Or I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I wanted to kind of show you this site. And then if you look at here on galleries, here's just some examples of some other wind phones. And we have Arizona up here. There's different ideas of wind phones. So what Kingman is proposing, what Kingman Main Street is proposing is, oh, did I get out of that, Mike? I'm sorry. Oh, no, I think it's down here. Oh, here it is, right here. Is that we maybe look at a proposed wind phone located at the White Cliffs South Trailhead. We have no specific area. We kind of would really like to work with the Parks Department to see where the best space would be. Sarah did a little rendering here and just plopped it in that spot, but that's not necessarily where we think we'd want it to be. The reason for this trailhead, one, Kingman Main Street has already adopted it, so we would be able to make sure that we're keeping up on the maintenance. 2, it's a little bit more secure since you can shut it down, and also people can drive up, and if it's at the trailhead, it doesn't matter your physical disabilities. You don't have to be an avid hiker to go and access this, you know, and the view is beautiful. Obviously, we wouldn't want to impede on any of the views, but if you were up there somewhere, you could probably get yourself in a space where you can see, and it would just be such a lovely, you know, event to talk to whoever you wanted to. We did get Frontier donated a payphone. So we do, that's us doing the heavy load there. So we do have a payphone that's already available that wouldn't have to be the price or anything. So what we're proposing is that the Main Street would source the payphone. We'd also make sure that we would repair it, any broken parts, any graffiti. We'd pay a local artist to make it a desert theme. Oh, sorry, we'll pay a local artist to make it a desert theme. In addition to that, we're really looking at making sure that the paint that we use is UV protective, and also we could put like a graffiti cover top coat there's all sorts of different options, so that could maybe help with any vandalism, making it easier for us to make sure that we maintain it and keep it clean. We would also list the wind phone on the national website, which hopefully would bring in more people, because there is a handful of people who track these wind phones and go to places particularly just to visit that. So it just gives Kingman another spot on the map to come and see us, you know? And then we would look at creating an online guest list at our website. And so that could bring back numbers to you guys. Like, look at, this is how many people who have actually come and visited this wind phone and signed up and said, we've been here, we've seen this, we've participated in this activity. And then any additional costs, we would look at funding as well for Main Street. What we are asking public requests from the parks is that partner to find the most appropriate location. Maybe go up there and look at different spots, make sure that it's not impeding the views of different things or messing with the bike racks or the water fountains, or, you know. Also installing the phone once we've decided the appropriate spot. Helping with any trail signage. It'd be really nice if we could have signage that would match the signage that's already up in the trails. So maybe it would say wind phone this way. And then promoting the wind phone on any of your city sites, social media sites, or maybe if there was a ribbon cutting, we could put it on the little billboards, or, you know, letting everybody know that this is something new coming to Kingman. And I think that's really it.
Wait a minute.
Do I,
I was just gonna say, I myself like the idea of doing something like that. And I know in the one picture where, as I believe at the Hasayampa location, they had a big wooden thing. So if you had a child with you, they could stand on there because the cord wouldn't be long enough if you had a shorter child.
oh, absolutely. Or even like if there was a space where one of the benches were there too, and you could kind of sit and reflect, or I don't know, we're just kind of brainstorming ideas where it would be an appropriate space, but yeah.
Anyone else have any suggestions? Wait a minute.
I think you need a stool.
I need a stool.
Well, it's a standing phone booth, and if somebody really wants to spend some time there and let the emotions out, something high enough, you
Where
know,
they
a
can
bar stool
sit.
where they could actually sit and enjoy the view.
I think that's a
Also,
lovely idea.
there's a trail below the parking area down there, and maybe just a little pad down there so it's set down, and they'll feel a little less off the parking area and a little more secluded down below. Might be a better shot. I don't know.
Anyone else?
I have a question. What, how concerned are you about the vandalism in that particular area?
I mean, I think that it could possibly happen, but I think if we take those measures where we're using the right coating and we can, I don't think it's going to be any different than any other project we've taken on, that we've always made sure that we take care of that vandalism. And if it happens, we would just clean it and have our artists come back. And I mean, it's just something that possibly would just take into account that could happen, but we are willing to make sure that we fix it if it does happen. And with the gates that Chloe, it just is a little bit more of a secure hiking trail than other places, you know, and it's a little bit more open. It's in the neighborhoods, and so I don't know, I feel like that would be a safe space for, and again, if it happens, we're willing to make sure that Kingman Main Street will take care of that.
Okay, I just didn't know how often it would be checked or looked at.
Well, we could maybe put that in our agreement where we make sure that, you know, we come up and we check it at once a month or every couple of weeks, whatever it needs to be done, you know. Especially if we do start seeing vandalism on that, then we would have to step it up.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I'm chomping at the bit here because I have a very clear conflict of interest here, and I just want to state to the public that I'm not going to participate in the discussion or the voting on this because I am a volunteer with Kingman Main Street. So thank you for allowing me to do that. And now I'm
Okay, would anyone like to entertain a motion to move forward on this?
Excuse me, Chairman. We had a speaker on this that wanted to talk about it too.
Oh, okay. We have another speaker, Donna Peterson, once again.
Hi. I just wanted to say that since I heard about this project through Kingman Main Street, I thought what a charming addition this would be to our community. You know, it's something that touches people's heart. And I know that since I heard about it, I started my list of people I'm going to call. So I would just encourage you, if you could, to support it. Thank you.
Can I ask, so we can look at the website for like different ideas then on what they've done in other communities?
Yeah, there's all, in the website, there's all sorts of galleries all over the.
Did you see something in particular that you liked already, or?
Well, okay, so there's a lot of things that we liked, but we really were trying to think about our weather and what could like sustain the heat, and so that's why we went with, kind of contacted Frontier to see if they had an old, and they do have payphone graveyard that we went and dug through. But we thought the payphone, it would be metal, wouldn't be breaking down, because if you have the payphone booths that are wooden, anything like that, we know that it would require us to do a lot more maintenance. And then also with, we really have great seasons majority of the year, so being outside, open with nature, it seemed to be more appropriate than an actual booth. But yes, there was a lot of different ideas that kind of struck, but we wanted to make sure we kept it where it would blend in with the natural environment, and it wouldn't just be this sore thumb sticking out, you know, a bright pink thing in the middle of nowhere. And we haven't completely decided the whole design, but we definitely want the art to have to do with our desert and match in with the environment, and, you know, just kind of blend right in, so.
Very good. Anyone else? Mike, did you have any comments?
No, I don't really have any comments. I think this, where we put it is going to be a key, obviously. And one area that I think Sarah and I maybe talked about at one time was there's a bench up the hill a little ways that's beautiful views and everything up there where it's kind of private too. I think would be kind of cool. So, I mean, I think it's got to be, you know, just a little bit away from where all the activity is going to be. Because that area that we're talking about is, I think it's going to get more and more busy as time goes on. So I think it's pretty important that we look at that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Now, would anyone like to entertain a motion on this?
I move that we install the wind phone at the specified site in Kingman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion has passed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're moving on to action items again. B, it's Lewis Kingman Park mural request for the City of Kingman Tourism Department. City of Kingman Tourism Manager Josh Noble will provide a presentation on their proposal for a mural at Lewis Kingman Park. Currently, Lewis Kingman Park has an art installation consisting of a 39-foot-long, half-inch metal cutout silhouette depicting a train and surveyor. The art piece celebrates the work of Kingman's namesake, Lewis Kingman. It's covered in oxidized black paint and needs to be recoated. Staff would like to commission an artist to create a custom mural and complete the work as a Route 66 Centennial project. The total cost is anticipated to be about $11,000. The Historic Route 66 Association is interested in partnering and covering half of the cost. We have Josh Noble. Please tell us what you're up to, Josh.
Thank you, Chair Fogg, Vice Chair, members of the commission. So I do have an updated presentation. There's going to be more slides than what you have in your packet. We had some of our team members want to bring in and say, what if we had a more local artist, and what could that look like also? So I'm just going to start into here. So this is the train that's in the middle of Lewis Kingman Park, and you can't tell in this picture, but it is pretty oxidized. The paint overall, the quality seems good. It's not like it's peeling off. There's a few areas that might need some touch up before you went and painted something on it. But it's just, black with different levels of gray from when the paint has been oxidized by the sun and by weathering over the years. And this park has been receiving a lot more artistic elements. Recently, Parks put up these really cool flowers that were welded together. In one corner of the park, we have the Cadillac Ranch experience, and we have the Leaning Shield. So we're always just looking at ways that we can make this more of an experiential park. We also have been working on an art and public places policy or playbook. And this is through Arizona State University Project Cities. So we had some graduate students that were working with us on developing what a public art sort of program could look like for Kingman. They held some community engagement sessions. So they actually had something at the Beale Street Theater where they met with locals and they gathered some feedback, and then we sent out a survey, and we had about 400 responses. So in that survey, one thing that was really where people would like to see art as a priority, parks, trails, and green spaces was really high on that list. As you can see, it was about over 70% that found that important or really important. And then what kind of art would people like to see more of? And murals hit the top of the list. It was kind of surprising to me since we already had so many murals coming into Kingman, but I think people, they affiliate with them. They really enjoy seeing the splash of color. So the key takeaways, they want to see them more investment in murals and sculptures. They really like the downtown area, the hilltop area, which is where Lewis Kingman Park is. But there was one of the comments in there that really kind of struck us, is that the way someone commented on the art in Kingman was that they felt alienated. They said, if you're not into Route 66, 50s nostalgia, car culture, Wild West, you won't find a lot of public art murals that speak to you. I don't see myself or my interests reflected much in Kingman art. So we really were trying to think of, well, what are some ways that we can have a different sort of background, a different sort of element than what we currently have, and still tie it in to what we have in Kingman. So we did, at the festival last year, host Bentenya. They're a traditional Japanese marching band. They're doing an entire Route 66 campaign, and the Kingman stop was part of that. They're putting together a documentary. See if I can get this to go forward a little bit. Okay. This is a video. I think I can get it to play here. Just give you a short kind of look at what they've been doing. And it is on YouTube, so it might take a second to load up. Maybe if I just tell it to watch it right on YouTube. Okay, it's not going to pull up, so I'm just going to pass that. This is them up on stage with the Swillers at the festival. They did quite a few different posts while they were here in Kingman. And I also wanted to share, when we're looking at kind of the Japanese culture, this is an artist that's from Japan. She's actually based in Brooklyn, New York, but she is well recommended from the producer who brought Bentenya to Kingman. He would work with us to bring her here. And I'm just going to share some of the elements that kind of show the tie-in with Japanese culture to Kingman, to Route 66. There is a Route 66 Association of Japan. Our informational that's in Japanese at the Route 66 Museum was translated by their president, Tashi Godo. We also have Arizona Office of Tourism recognizes Japanese as one of the major international markets to Arizona, so that are one of the 4 languages that they have information printed in for visitors to pick up. This is something that we share at the Visitor Center. And this is also a kind of a gallery book of photos that a Japanese author put together, and they signed it and delivered a copy to us about 12 years ago. So I'm just going to pass them out so you guys can take a look at these. So this artist, Yukiki, is a Japanese muralist and freelance designer. Like I said, she's based in Brooklyn, New York. Her passion is to beautify and revitalize neighborhoods, to make art more locally accessible. And she's worked with a lot of communities, organizations, municipalities, parks. So we're just going to go through some of her work. This is a conceptual that she did in New York City. And the reason I really like this, or what we were really going for, is our silhouettes of the train cars in the park are cutouts. And you're going to have to find a way to have some sort of sense, understanding a design element that will fit into that makes sense. And that's kind of what these are. So this is, what these pieces eventually looked like. And you'll see that they have different elements of the New York culture, of the culture of the area, from, cycling through town and people roller skating, the green space. And she works that into the elements of her art. So this is on display at one of the festivals. This is another piece that she put together for a restaurant. And so you can see that she came up with the conceptual. This one's more Japanese in style, versus the other one was really looking at elements in New York City and then making those abstract to add in. It's pulling up, there we go. So that's the blank wall. And then as she moves forward, you can see how that progressed. So she does a lot of different styles. And of course, that's after it was all completed. This is from a town in Denmark. That also done for the community, and you can see it's got windmills, sailboats, music, the fish and the foods, bicycles, also a big bicycling culture. So just kind of taking the elements of that community, things that are of interest or within their culture, and combining them into her artwork. So that's something that we're proposing, is that she could come and do the silhouettes in the park. It's $11,000 for both sides. The Route 66 Association of Arizona is interested in co-oping with us, and so they would cover half that cost. That would include the travel, the concept, the work, and we'd have that so that the one half really reflected specifically Kingman's culture, and since the Route 66 Association would be paying the other half, they would have that more Arizona-specific Route 66 culture. And this could be a temporary exhibit. If people are like, I really don't like it, we just have it up through the Centennial, and we can look at doing something else, or if it's something that we can leave permanent if people really fall to really like the design. So this is, just to be clear, not her concept. This is just one of our team members used some AI to kind of throw some color splash up, so you can kind of see how it might look to have a little bit of color and abstract design in on the train in the park. So as an alternate example, Rachel Kaiser, she's a resident of Lake Havasu City. I think she moved there in the last couple of years, but she is a graduate of the University of South Carolina in 2022 with a degree in studio art. She's inspired by, different a lot of her stuff has to do with kind of mental illness, mental wellness. So she really creates artwork that is kind of visionary, astronomical, just something that people can kind of look at and get a little bit lost into. This is one of her recent pieces. It's a 2,100 square foot piece of art that's up on a kitchen in the Lake Havasu City area. So it gives you a different sort of idea of something that could be done. I don't have any examples of her doing anything on, cutouts, silhouettes like the other artist does, but she is local, or in Havasu. This is while she lived up in Great Falls, Montana. She did some different under culverts areas or under bridges art. It's a little bit more of a traditional sort of art sort of scape versus the one from Japan, but it's just another option. And she could do basically the same amount, $11,000, to include the design, priming, all of the travel coming here and doing the work. I don't know that the Route 66 Association would cover this, so if the city wanted to do this artist, we'd probably just want to do this on our own. I am proposing that if we do want to move forward, we have this going before Economic Development Advisory Commission next week. And if they're in favor of it, we'd use some of our Art in Public Places funding to move forward with the project. My goal, my real hope, would be to have it done in time for the festival in October and unveil it there. But if that doesn't happen, we definitely want to have it done before our October 2026 festival. And then that would be something that would just be part of the art experience in the park. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have some questions and comments. Well, I had a comment from somebody outside of me that said, why are we changing it at all? Why don't we just leave the train black? But my comments are, if we're going to paint the train, I think the art is, of the Japanese artist is cute, colorful, funky. And I've had Japanese exchange students in my home, so I'm familiar with a lot of that, but I just don't feel that this abstract art style fits with Kingman, and it seems kind of out of place. Railroads are a part of Kingman's history, and I think history should be represented and preserved by a more traditional type of art, perhaps railroad or Western type art. The park is named after Louis Kingman, and he was a civil engineer who was involved in constructing the railroads in the area. That kind of art I don't think fits with Louis Kingman. I think a traditional form of art better honors and dignifies his memory. If we're going to paint the train, I'd like to suggest obtaining a local artist to work in consultation with local historians like the Route 66 Association, Railroad Museum, History Museum, and not in an abstract sort of way so much. And also consider dividing the cost between the Route 66 Historical Association and private donors. So those are my comments.
And I just would like to clarify, the tourism fund does have an allocated amount put towards public art. So when we're looking at, where the funding would come from, and certainly we can always use those funds for different projects, but we do have funding that we can draw from to do a project like this.
Could you clarify that you have funding to draw from for
We
how much
allocate
funding?
$60,000 every year out of our tourism bed tax dollars. These are dollars collected when people overnight in our hotels that we can then utilize for putting in public art installations.
So you could cover the entire amount if you needed to?
We could.
I would like to suggest, rather than doing it on the trains, the silhouettes, the shapes are not distinct enough to stand up against something that is as abstract as, even if it's less abstract as the illustration you got here. Give them another palette. Put up something on a temporary basis where you could have, I'm a big fan of Japanese art and architecture and the like, and I'd like to see a collaboration with the Japanese artists here in town. I just don't think the two cultures blend very well. we've got a Western theme with Louis Kingman and his trains, and my sumo wrestler and the geisha that I've got at home just don't quite fit, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But please, let's consider giving a Japanese artist another place in the park. If you put up panels or something like where they can do something for our centennial, I think it'd be a great idea.
Can I see the slide again with what she did in New York? Thanks. I mean, I like that it showed off lots of different elements of the area.
Yeah, something with the quality of what she did in the bar, somewhere in the park would be awesome. This is just not, it's not the same quality art that she did in the bar. If you understand what I mean.
I understand your perspective, yes, Steve.
Go ahead.
Okay, hi. So I have a little bit of a different perspective on this. Art is one of those things that makes you think. It expands your horizon. I was born and raised in Kingman, and so the Western culture, the desert, the train, Route 66, all of that is so meaningful to me. And when I moved away, you know, it was so expansive to go and see other forms of art. And one of the things that is so special about Route 66 is it is so international, you know, and it is so multicultural. And so looking at this abstract piece, so I feel like less detail on a piece like the train is actually going to visually be better because it is broken up. But what I would love to see is elements of our, like a marriage of the two. Her style with the Route 66 shield and minor, something having to do with trains, something having to do with Louis Kingman, something having to do with, you know, maybe turquoise, Kingman turquoise. How can we have a marriage of the two and honor that there are different forms of art? We may not all get it, but it's made to expand, you know? And I love the idea of having this dedication to the multicultural Route 66, which also is our culture, you know? And so I can see Bentenya coming and the marching band playing when they unveil this piece. Also, I attended that art in public spaces, and you did hear that from a lot of people, younger people that said, we don't feel like the art is really speaking to us. Like, there's so much of the Western Route 66 traditional art, you know, we can have both. And I think that this is a really neat opportunity, just like she looked for the elements from that community to bring it home. So I would vote in favor of this project, especially since it's a partnership between the nonprofit and the city, and they're willing to pay half of it. And I just think anytime we can work on projects like this with our limited budget in the city, and because the funds are already delegated to projects like this, and it's not coming from our taxpayer dollars, from our citizens locally here, I'm in favor of the project.
Maybe I didn't get that across. So like this New York City, it's not in Japanese style or Japanese culture. It's the artist's own interpretation, pulling in New York's culture. And so looking at something in Kingman on Route 66, she would be pulling elements that represent Kingman in this proposal to put on
Can
the
I ask,
silhouette.
have
Yes.
you started like a list of things that you would like for her to like highlight? Have you
Not yet. You know, in our minds, I think we think
Yeah.
about a lot of different things, but without knowing if our commissioners are even interested in going into it, we're really at the base level right now, 40,000 square foot view. Would you like to see a project like this?
I would be much more comfortable if we could see her actual proposal for this installation, rather than
And that's something we could do, but we would need to make an investment to have her start that work because the cost in it, part of that is coming up with the concept,
yeah.
correct?
Could the mission, or the commission and, you know, your board or whatever have, I mean, I don't want to make it too difficult because there's already so much red tape when you're trying to do projects. Will there be a rendering that will be kind of, will you have some sort of board that, can you tell us the process of once if, say she is awarded this project, what is your process of looking at the art and determining whether you think it's a good fit?
That was going to be probably a little bit more internal, but if the commission would like to be more involved in that process in reviewing concepts, we can always just expand the time frame of how long the project takes. And if this commission is able to make special meetings in order to look at that, then we can certainly look at adding you into the process.
I do think with the investment that the city makes in this event, it would be really neat to have that unveiled at that Route 66 festival. Last year, there was such a great, you know, with the shield that was unveiled. I think it's just might be neat to show the community we're investing in our parks. We're doing this big event. We're celebrating investing in our parks. So I don't want to like slow things down, but I think if that would help anybody in wanting to do something like this, then that could be an option.
I like the, I mean, I understand that the international people really love Kingman. There's a big population, but they like the way Route 66 is the way it used to be and the Western influence. If she could include, if the artist could include that Western influence on the train, then I might be more open to that. Or I like the suggestion of maybe a temporary type art or a separate sign or something, a separate art area.
I'd like to counter that sentiment. In my meetings with tour operators, there's a lot of excitement about the more modern Route 66 sort of experiences. We don't have a lot of people internationally coming and looking for the what was. They're asking, what are you doing to celebrate? What can we come to do to experience? So for instance, the drive-through shield is certainly not traditional in Route 66 as an experience, but it's definitely authentic and it's new and it's different. We're seeing that with a lot of different things that a lot of communities on Route 66 are doing to celebrate, because there's an interest in celebrating not the nostalgia of Route 66, because a lot of the people that are coming over are after that point in time. They don't have memories of traveling Route 66. It's the romanticized, legendary fairy tale that Route 66 is. They want to come and they want to experience what it is according to how it is in their head from the movie Cars and the things that they've seen. So there's a lot of interest in more contemporary Route 66 experiences, a more Americana in general kind of romanticized version.
I think it's the color palette that puts most people off in the pop art. And it's hard to tell an artist that, hey, can you live within this color palette of like beiges and browns and darkness? But I think if you're going to sell pop art on a traditional item like that train, it's have to be a more even keeled color palette, because I think that's what puts most people at the shock and awe on pop art, is it's always bold, popping colors. And on the train, I think it rattles people because it's not traditional. It's pop art. It's not normal.
Well, I like this idea, but I don't like the idea of of the colors on the train. I like the traditional black. If you needed to paint it again, the Parks Department, a few years back, painted Locomotive in Locomotive Park, and they actually looked into that and had specific paint, so it kind of stayed there. But I'd like to see something different from the train, off the train myself. I like the idea of that and displaying it at the Kingman Loves 66 Fest.
Well, Josh, I really like what you're trying to do here. I just don't like where you're trying to do it. This particular installation, I think we need to leave that silhouette kind of the way it is, but bring her in somehow. Let's give her an opportunity to kind of blend our culture with theirs. I think it's a great idea, just not at this spot.
Thank you.
Do you have a meeting set with her coming up? Or?
No, this will be presented to the Economic Development Advisory Commission next week, and then from that, we'll take the feedback that we receive from the commissions and decide how or if to move forward.
Yeah, because I'd like to see more discussion on this, maybe even a special called meeting by us to get what the Economic Development meeting came to, and also the artist, if she could, yeah. Did you? So could we table this for the time being? Our next meeting isn't until November, and I'd like to see something before then. Any thoughts?
I'd
Is
kind of
this-
like to see it delayed, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering, I'm wondering if you're going to get other commissions, you're going to various commissions to have them weigh in. Okay. I think that I wonder if there's a way for community to weigh in rather than it be based on a commission. Because I think it's one of those things that I could see you saying, we're gonna do Route 66 Shield in the park and we're gonna use this style, and because people aren't big fans of that particular style, they're not gonna like it on a shield. It's not, you know, I think that the train is oxidized and it needs to be, I think that that's something that, looking at that needs to be fixed, you know, or repaired or painted, whatever. So I'm just wondering if this is more of a that's not my style thing rather than, I mean, I wonder if you can get more feedback rather than this being a roadblock, if that's not, if the commission isn't all on board with it, maybe it's an us thing.
Well, and down the road, you know, we've completed all of the studies with Art in Public Places program with Project Cities with ASU. They're going to be having a uniform, all comprehensive document for us to reference that includes the community feedback, case studies from other communities, and kind of a playbook suggestions for how we might run something here, at which point the city council would have the opportunity to decide how they want to tackle that and what they want to move next. And however they do that, we can always bring concepts like this to whether that's another commission or if that's nestled in within an existing commission or how council wants to proceed with that. So there are possibly other avenues down the line, and that would be using all of the public feedback that we received in the study, which was pretty comprehensive. There's over 100 pages of content in that document.
I guess my question for our commission would be, would you guys feel comfortable if we gave the ability to the tourism department and economic development to use their studies, to use a public survey of some sort to make this decision where we're not? Or do you feel you represent enough of the community where we can make the decision to stop it?
This is completely anecdotal, but in Carlsbad, they hired an artist in New York to do an installation on the beach, and she built a jail. It was nothing but iron pipes, vertical with concrete all around it, and it was the worst debacle you've ever seen. Town hated it, and they finally took it out. I really hesitate to give any artistic authority to broad numbers of people, because you'll never get consensus that way. I think, Josh, you're doing the right thing by going to particular groups and saying, you know, what do you think? But I don't know whether we're gonna come to any kind of conclusion here today.
Yeah, I'd like to see the artist
I'd like
make a mock-up of what she might think we would like to see, a few designs.
We could always look at what she would quote us to do a couple of mock-ups, and it might be within budget to do that and then bring it back, and that way everyone's a little more comfortable with making a decision at that point. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it would be kind of nice to see the things that she would highlight and what the color would look like, and, because I do like the color pop, but maybe not quite so much.
Is there no other area in the park where we could give them an easel, a palette, something that they could paint on that isn't the silhouette?
I
Bring them
would
in and
defer to
have them just
parks.
I mean, can we put up a bunch of 4x8s and have them go ballistic?
Well, I mean, it's something we could do. I just think when you're gonna spend that kind of money, that if it's gonna, it should be on something kind of permanent, I think, and, you know, I can't think of any place right off that, where it could fit, that where it's so visible. I'm thinking the restroom, the old restroom that's there. I don't really know if that's got any walls that are solid, that it could be, but, you know, I think to build something just for that, I don't really know if that's,
Okay,
a great idea either. Just personally, that's just my feeling. And I like a lot of what you're saying about, it would be nice to know what they're gonna put on there, you know, colors of blooming cactus, you know, things that are here, Route 66, the railroad, airplanes, you know, trails, mountain biking, things like that. It would be cool to have a list of all the things that you want this artist to put on there. I think it's a good idea.
it's just, I'm gonna shut up because I've been talking the whole time here. My last thought, because this is all about Louis Kingman, I have no problem with the trains being painted, or especially if we're gonna do this permanently, but I'd like Louis Kingman to remain black in silhouette, just so that he's a prominent figure there on that statue. Do what you want with everything else, but leave him alone.
Okay, Josh, when you go to economic development, could you tell them what we discussed?
I have a different team member that'll be making that presentation. I'll have them watch this video to hear the comments, and then he can relay
Or
that
even
to them.
give that person some bullet points on what we discussed? And that's next week.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I don't see anything going further. Sarah has one more thing.
Just one more. Is it possible to potentially look at the color palette being kind of Arizona tones, still the same art, but maybe turquoise, desert tones? You know, we've got some coral, turquoise, like a sand color. I could see this still being really beautiful with maybe a color palette that's a little more desert, Kingman. Maybe if that would be a potential to help the project move forward.
We can certainly make that request. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I can't see us going any further today with that. Thank you very
you.
much for bringing this up, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
We're on to number 4, reports. The park superintendent report.
Sorry, there's a lot of open. Where do I want to be? Apologize, I'm having some technical difficulties. Yeah, Joel, can you bring up the park superintendent report? Thank you. It's not sharing. Do I need to stop sharing and then reshare? Joel, it's still showing the previous report or presentation. Excellent, thank you. Well, good afternoon, Commission. If you don't know who I am, I'm Matt Golder, the Assistant Superintendent for Parks. I'll be sharing the Park Superintendent report with you. So we'll jump right in. This is the, sorry, this moved a lot quicker than I thought. So fiscal year 25 park upgrades, where we're at with these. Cecil Davis, we just recently installed the pendulum swing at the end of July, and we're currently working towards installing the curbing and safety surface, the engineered wood fiber for that. Southside Park and Lewis Kingman Park both had their pour-in-place surface installed. The plan was to have this during the fiscal year, but there is an issue with the subcontractor for the playground company we were using, so they had to push it back. And then the Metcalf Park exercise equipment, we are hoping to have it installed in September. Some other projects in the parks we're working on or have worked on over the last quarter is the Lewis Kingman Park flower art, installed just past the 66 leaning shield. The flowers were made by the Kingman High School welding class. It was part of a project for United Way Day of Caring. And then the Powerhouse Dog Park is a project we're actively working on. We've installed the benches, trash can, tire feature. We just recently installed the drinking fountain today, actually, and a fire hydrant. And we have just some more finishing touches before the grand opening ribbon cutting on September 5th at 10 a.m. There will be another feature to go along with that. We will likely do after the fact, which is some lighting in between the dog park and the Tesla charging. So it'll shed some light on both the dog park and the parking area. An update for trails. Just recently, prior to the First Friday Trails and Tales event, the trail brochures that feature both the White Cliffs Trail System and the Surbat Foothills Recreation Area were completed in conjunction with tourism and engineering. Big thanks to Josh Noble here. We also received some of the Camp Beal Loop Phase 1 signs and have a lot of those installed. We do have some gabion baskets we still need to finish. And then I just received the last batch of signs for that first phase, so we'll have that up here pretty soon. The ADOT I-11 project is also going on, and there was an issue where they were going to be closing the Beal Monolith connector, and after some discussion with them, they have that open during the weekends, so we're still allowing access to Monolith from Camp Beal Springs, or Camp Beal Loop, I apologize. And then the master plan update, we also held the kickoff meeting with J2 Engineering. J2 Engineering came out and toured some of the sites on July 10th and got some of the GIS information from our IT department. And then we just recently held a community engagement session. A lot of you were here, so we appreciate you and the community coming out and giving us the feedback of what kind of amenities and connectivity we would like to see. Safety and training we've done over the last quarter. We've done some engineered wood fiber replacement around swings and playgrounds. We've added some stickers to some of the playgrounds that have recommended age, warning labels, that kind of stuff. Remove some large rocks that just work their way up on some of the ball fields, replace swings. We also refinished the pool slide at Centennial Park on the inside. We plan to actually have it redone and painted on the outside just to really hold the integrity of that fiberglass long term. Our Toro groomers for the ball fields, just the nature of the work and the wind, we get a lot of red dirt that kicks up and it gets inside, so we had to do like a full cleaning of all the brake systems for those. So we got that addressed. And then just the dog parks is kind of a continuing thing, but we all have to often refill in holes that are dug up in the dog parks. Miscellaneous improvements for parks over the last quarter. Centennial Pool, we had the motor go down on the slide. And with that, we needed to replace the contactor and run new wiring to that, but that was able to be up and running shortly after the season began. We had to have the vinyl liner patched at Grandview Pool, and we're able to paint that and get that all open for the season before it started, so there was no interruptions with that. We also prepped fields for 4 weekend tournaments over the last quarter, removed metal poles along the academy's fence on the back so they could make way for their brick wall installation, and then trimmed trees throughout Centennial Park. Southside Park, we hosted the All-Stars Little League. So with that, we had to move a mound and address some of the areas of the field and warning tracks. We actually utilized the Geo Group inmate crew to help do a lot of the warning track clearing and fence line clearing. Lewis Kingman Park, the boulders for the Leaning Shield lighting came in, so we had those installed in the park. And then we assisted with 7 special events over the last quarter. It's just some of them, like the city employee events, school graduations, moving bleachers to and from, and then the Chamber of Commerce's event, Blues and Brews, played a small role in that. We did have 200 irrigation issues over the last quarter and 574 just generally as MROs, maintenance repair orders. Adopt a Park. We have 2 new additions. I'd like to point out the Mojave County Probation. They actually adopted the Mojave Wash walk path, the I-40 walk path, and Firefighters Park. So they adopted quite a bit, and they've been kind of rotating what they work on. And then the Mojave County Democratic Central Committee adopted Locomotive Park just recently. And then the Kingman Youth Advisory Council just recently got a hold of me, and they're also wanting to do the skate park as well as the U18 soccer field, just because they're not seeing a lot happening at the U18 soccer field. So they're going to alternate which site they're going to. But with the loss of inmates, the Adopt a Park program has definitely helped significantly with a lot of the small, fine detail areas. So we definitely appreciate all the help we've gotten from the community with this. Our year-to-date ending for fiscal year for vandalism is about $26,600. That's just estimated cost without like labor. But we've seen May a pretty heavy month with 5,800, June 2,450, and just this last month, July, only 1,400. Go over some of those right now. Canyon shadows, a lot of light bollards have been being damaged. We also had a car drive through the park, and they hit a light bollard and left some of their vehicle there. Cecil Davis, we were having an issue a lot with things being lit on fire, mainly like trash cans, dumpsters. For a minute, it was toilet paper being strewn throughout the restroom and lit on fire, or debris being clogged in toilets. But that, other than graffiti, debris being clogged in toilets has been a pretty big thing over the last quarter. Centennial Park, we actually had quite a few potatoes jammed in the fourplex toilets, of all things. Light switches in the restrooms at Centennial Park. Firefighters, more the graffiti, but also seeing toilet paper strewn all over the restrooms. Metcalf Park had the expression swing damage. We were able to repair that and get that back up. At the municipal courthouse, catty corner from the city complex here, we had a trash can lit on fire. And then South Park, the wheelchair swing over by the playground was also damaged. We repaired it. We waited to put it back up until we had the pour in place, surface in place, but it's back up in place now. And then the White Cliff South Trailhead, just some sections of broken fence along the perimeter and concrete pieces thrown down the hillside. With that, that's all I have for the superintendent report. Do you have any questions or comments?
Do we have inmates again?
We have been utilizing inmates on like a special request for projects. They're pretty limited on the amount of eligible inmates they have, at least for the time being. So we've used them, we've utilized their work crews for the Southside Park, for the warning tracks. We also utilized them for the Mojave Wash walk path, cleaning up weeds and debris, and same with a roadside 66 from like Bashes to Public Works on that stretch, and then from Airway to Castle Rock. So we've utilized them quite a bit recently, and but it's just project-based.
Anyone else?
Hi, thank you so much for all your guys' work. You guys do such an awesome job. So I may have asked this before, and forgive me if I have. Are our bathrooms locked in the evenings? At
They
the
are
parks?
locked in the evenings. It's generally, Yvonne may speak more to this, but it's just one ranger generally going around locking all the restrooms. So it's time varies, and then there's other things that go on, like scheduling wise, like unlocking reservations or monitoring areas where play or games are happening. So they do, but it's usually later at night that they lock them.
Okay.
Probably between, I'd say, the scope of like 8 to 10 p.m. Is that correct? Sun goes down.
As soon as the sun goes down is when they start doing the first locking in, and everything's completely locked up before dark.
Okay, all right, so that's,
For
Probably.
Cecil Davis, especially the restroom incidents that were happening, we were noticing it mainly in between the time our team was leaving and the Rangers were starting. So like a 2 to 4 p.m.
Is
period
when
is when
it's
a lot was happening. And we did discuss that with KPD, and they were trying to up the patrols during that time.
oh, nice. Okay, thank you. That was gonna be my next question. And then I know I follow up on the cameras again. Have we had any luck with that?
So 7 were approved for this fiscal year. I'm not exactly sure when they'll be installed, but we will be working with IT for that. They were kind of touching base this morning about it. But it'll likely be our more high priority vandalized parks.
Okay,
Wallach Ranch, Cecil Davis, maybe the skate park.
that's great.
Yeah, those are the ones where we'd like to focus anyways. There are constraints with that. We need to have internet access and power for those.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Yep.
And then the last thing is just a question. Parks maintains the, along the south side of the sidewalk on Andy Devine, that landscaping there? Is that a Parks thing?
Depends where we do quite a bit. So we have sections of Andy Devine from essentially the powerhouse to the split on Andy, and then we also go from like Martin's Swanee to the dam bar roughly, and then again the break from Bashes to Public Works on one side. So there's scattered areas, but we do maintain quite a bit of Andy Devine's roadside.
Okay, and so if someone from the public lets us know that some of the trees have died along there, how would we address that?
The best way to reach out to us, we could get it on our maintenance repair orders and get that scheduled and prioritized.
Okay, and then the last question there along the tracks, is that the railroad that maintains all the weeding there along the tracks?
Downtown.
Yeah.
So in the landscaped area, just probably like 4 to 6 feet off the road is us, but yes, behind that is
Okay,
the railroad property.
okay, thank you. That's all.
Is there anyone else? Well, I would, Matt, I would just like to say, staff should be pretty proud of all the work that they've done, especially through the summer months when it's so busy. And hopefully some of this vandalism will be cut down now that school's in.
That's the hope, yeah. Usually we do see a trend in reduction once school resumes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you so much for your time.
And B, we have the Recreation Superintendent Report. Miss Yvonne?
Hello, everyone. I don't have a slideshow, but I will give my verbal presentation. This summer, I would like to say that I'm proud of my division. I think they did a really great job. All of our programs were successful. We had very little cancellations of anything. What I mean by that is normally we offer like 2 youth cooking classes, 2 youth dessert classes, 2 of this, 2 of that. This season, we did combine some of them back down to 1. For some reason, the second session or the second class just didn't reach the minimum numbers. So instead, we combined everybody over and made 1 larger class in each of those. Our Little Tykes program, I'll hit that one a little bit later because that one had an overwhelming success. But a lot of our classes did reach maximum capacities. We did, in just the recreation programs alone, over our 6-week summer, accumulate $46,737 in program revenues. And our fall program is now what we're focusing on, so we're moving forward with fall. We should have our brochure out by the 2nd week of September. This summer, we also had for the first time, we did an all-day, 2-week summer dance program camp where kids were able to get dropped off at 10 a.m. and stay until 5 p.m. They learned all the different styles of dance. It was a great opportunity for those kids who might want to explore dance or think, okay, I don't know which dance class to take. They were able to experience all the different styles from hip hop, jazz, ballet, tap, musical. There was all kinds of elements implemented. And so that camp ran for 2 weeks. They got awards, they had a camp shirt, they had a performance at our summer carnival night. And again, it was a little costly, but I think for the amount of hours that they got that were involved, I think it was a total of like 56 educational hours that they had incorporated for like $200, I think it was. Our fall dance program also started taking registrations, and we have exceeded our goal. I set a goal of about 200 participants each season, and we are right now at about 220, 225, somewhere around there. So we exceeded our goal for the fall season. Our fall season traditionally is a little bit slower because we lose a lot of our dance participants to soccer for some reason. But again, I exceeded our goal, so I'm grateful for that. Our dance classes this season will culminate the recital on November 22nd, and we have a total of about 50 routines altogether. We will have 2 different recitals because that's too many for one performance, and we have 29 group classes and 21 private sessions that are being offered this season. On the sports side, we hosted our Smash and Splash pickleball tournament on June 7th and 8th, and participants were able to receive a private pool party, compliments of the Kingman Pickleball Club. They sponsored the pool party for everybody who participated, and the pickleball club was able to attend, so that was a great turnout. As I mentioned earlier, our Little Tykes Sports Camp that ran over the summer. We had t-ball, soccer, basketball, football for ages 4 to 6. Each of those programs will take 20 participants each. We had 2 sessions, so that means 40 kids in every sport. Some of those classes or the specific sports, we've exceeded the minimums with, of course, we asked our instructors, hey, are you willing to take another one? We had 2 or 3 on the wait list. Sure, put them in. We don't want anybody to get left behind. So all of our classes, the science exploration, the Little Tykes, the dessert class, all had wait lists. We pulled everybody off the wait list and tried to accommodate. So we were able to do that. So that's one thing I'm really proud of our staff for doing, and for everybody working together and pulling people off the wait list so we didn't lose anybody. Summer tennis and pickleball lessons, they were sold out all summer long. We had people asking, when's the next session? When's the next session? Our instructor plans to offer lessons again in October. We wanted to get past the heated months because you don't want to be out there playing pickleball and tennis with the young kids when it's too hot. So when October comes around the corner, we'll be offering those lessons again. We also hosted I can't think of how many summers it's been, but the UK soccer camp. They bring in instructors from the UK. They host a soccer camp at Centennial Park. They get housed by residents here in Kingman, and they put on a camp for a week. We did offer it 2 separate times during the summer, and from my understanding, they had a really good turnout. What they do is they pay us back 5% of every registration, so we would get a check from them in the next couple months or so. They'll mail us in and that's our tie with them. So instead of them paying for the field rental, which we could do, we make more off the percentage than we do off the field rental. We also work diligently with a lot of our community organizations. As Matt mentioned earlier, the Kingman Little League hosted the District 9. District 9 is basically Havasu, Bullhead, Parker, Laughlin, Kingman, Yuma, all of like this area of the state, and hosted the Little League tournaments. And there's 5 different divisions, and Kingman hosted all 5 divisions. Each of the local districts alone voted to come to Kingman because, one, we have the cooler climates, the better weather. We don't have to worry about going to Havasu and playing in 120-some degree weather, or in Bullhead with the same features. So everybody opted to come to Kingman. And like I said, it was 5 different divisions, with the youngest being your 8U division all the way up to your high school, which was your 16U divisions. And took place over like 5 days. We utilized all the fields at Southside Park. And again, a special shout out to the Parks Department, because the fields, they took on a lot of work getting those fields ready, moving the mounds on a couple of them to accommodate some of the older kids. The girls' AFA softball program that took place at Centennial Park, they started in April and ran through June. They had their all-star playoff game at the first weekend, available in July, just after the 4th of July. But again, they have completed their season, and like everything else, once one season ends, the next season starts. But we continue to work with all the travel ball teams, from baseball to softball. There was back-to-back tournaments that Matt mentioned earlier, which was a lot of work park rangers are through parks, but I supervise the park rangers only because of facilitating wise and tournaments, and knowing the league schedules, it's easier for me to supervise them. But we had around the clock hours for 2 weekends in a row, meaning we staff park rangers at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and they're supposed to be off by 5, but you have an overnight tournament that starts at 5 and ends at 5 a.m. So when that only break that we had for park rangers was between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. And then on weekends, when they have, if there's special accommodations, we have sometimes where people say, we need a special request. Can you open up at 7? Depending on what it's for, we accommodate. But we had a lot of back-to-back hours for those park rangers, and they put on a lot of time on their shoulders, and they all did a great job in working till 2:30, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. We also, moving into the fall, we're working with the Kingman Youth Soccer League, as well as the 2 youth football leagues, Special Olympics, and the Kingman Academies. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Kingman Academy is what surrounds Centennial Park. They use our facilities for their football practices. We have the football at the middle school, football at the high school, their cross-country teams. Everybody right now is like, they use our walking track. So there's a lot of events going on that we have to help facilitate for those. We did hire a new recreation coordinator to take over our sports division. Might be new, but he's not new. Ryan Fruworth is a returning employee. He actually remained with us after he left his full-time position and continued to work part-time. But he is with us full-time again in that same capacity, so we appreciate having him back with us. I also wanted to target our summer day camp, the Summer Fun Days camp. At a little slow start, we were kind of worried for the first couple weeks. We did have to increase our rates a little bit to help deal with the cost inflations, but by the 3rd week, we were back to full capacity. Throughout the rest of the summer, we did accumulate 324 participants over the 6 weeks, and an estimated just over $31,000 for that one program in revenues. Special events, we had our Summer Family Carnival Night on June 13th. It was a little slower this year. A lot of it had to do, I think, with the weather. We had 575 people, is roughly what we acquired in attendance. We did the Placer AI, and that's what it kind of told us what we had as far as an estimated. We did have to cancel the jump houses due to the winds, and then we showed our movie on the back of our racquetball court, which was Mufasa. And Mud Mania was on July 11th with 358 participants and approximately 550 in attendance. The day after that, we had the Float-In movie on July 12th. The movie license was sponsored by Lindy Gas and Equipment. did an employee fundraiser type program that they do. I don't know how they acquire all the funds. They did give me a whole spiel of how they did it. And then the company actually matches any of their donated funds. So they were able to donate to us. I want to say it was just over $2,000 that they donated, and they had actually selected our department as the reciprocating company, so organization. So we appreciate them for that. Again, Mud Mania, Floating Movie, Summer Carnival, a lot of that is pulled with parks as well, so lots of kudos to Matt and his crew for helping us pull that together. We are now in the beginning stages of the Andy Devine Days Parade, seeking volunteers. Anyone who's interested in judging, send me an email. I'll use you as judges for our floats, our equestrians, our cars. We have different categories, so we can always use the help on that. So far, we have 27 forms that have been submitted. My goal this year is to reach 70. If I get 70, I'll be happy. Over the years, that kind of diminished a little bit, especially after COVID. We just have not been able to make a huge comeback after COVID. Prior to COVID, we were in the 90s, and we have not been able to reach that number again since. So I try to set my goal as 70 for each year, and if I can get close to that, then I'm somewhat satisfied. Sandy, who's our other recreation coordinator, I do have to give her some kudos here. She's been doing a great job on all of our special events, organizing them, setting them up. She's also on the Route 66 committee that will be taking place in October. Our department usually does a lot of the facilitating for the support staff for that event. In the aquatics section, again, very busy summer. We had to do applications, interviews, all of those completed over a 6-week period between March and April in order for our summer pool positions to be hired and open. We had 2 lifeguard certification courses, and so we can get our new lifeguards hired on. All of our staff had to go through the city's onboarding process, including background checks and orientation back in May, and both pools opened on May 26th. So the May 23rd and 24th was orientation, training, and literally we opened 2 days later. So May 26th, and we just closed on August 9th. We had 4 sessions of swim lessons over the summer, and we acquired 646 participants in our swim lessons programs. Every weekend is when we do our pool parties on Fridays and Saturdays. Every weekend was booked, and we started reservations about the first week of May. By the second week of June, every weekend was sold out. Every pool party time slot that was available was booked. So when people are calling in late June or July trying to get pool parties, we had to tell them, sorry, we're sold out. We have no more dates and times available. It's a good problem to have, but a little bit frustrating for the people who wait till the last minute. We had very few pool closures. Usually the summer monsoons, lightning strikes tend to make us cancel or close early. I can count those on less than one hand this year, so we didn't have a very big monsoon season, I think, as most of you may recall, so that was a good thing. We did have to close for other reasons, whether if it was a maintenance issue, chlorine, or staffing issues we may have had to close for, but still it wasn't very many days that we had to close this summer. But our staff, between Sandy and Callista, who's our aquatic manager, did all those interviews. They carried over about 60 interviews over the summer to get us all fully staffed and on board. The rec team also set up a couple of community information booths. We were able to do the KRMC Kids Day, the first Friday every month, and we have back to school nights coming in this month too that we'll be participating at. And the department Facebook page is something that I kind of help control, and our summer numbers were like outrageously increased. Of course, summer being what it is, but I think at one time we had like 246,000 views on some of for just like a 28-day period back in May. You can tell everybody was getting ready for summer and everything was hitting the numbers. When I looked at one time, we were at like 64, and I looked back the next, like 3 days later, we're at 200 and some. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like huge. So it's a good thing to have. Other than that, Mike and I will be going to the APRA conference next week, so we'll be gone for a few days and hopefully come back with some more great information. Any questions?
I have a question. Speaking of pool closures, and just following social media, it seemed like several people were upset that the pools closed so early, like August 9th. Why is that?
We are on a 90-day seasonal schedule for one, meaning when we activate our employees May 23rd, that's their first date of employment, they can work up to 90 days after, which technically would be about today, August 20th, August 19th, I think would have been the 90th day. The other dilemma is when the school district decided to start school in the middle of July, we lose over half our students. Half our employees go back to school. The other half are back in school by the first week of August. The other few percentage are off to college. We literally, right now, have 5 employees who are eligible to work. Can't open with 5 employees. You got to have a manager, you have to have cashiers, you have to have lifeguards. Without them, you can't open. And people don't understand that part of it, which makes it really difficult. Do we want to stay open? Of course we do. It's 100 and some degrees outside. But you also can't just leave it open and say swim at your own risk, because you know what's going to happen with that. Yeah.
Anyone else?
All right.
Well, I just wanted to say I appreciate all the time that's put in hiring and staffing for aquatics and your recreation programs during the summer. And yes, that is a lot.
Yes, between rec and aquatics over the summer, there's just over 100 employees. Between all of our programming staff and the aquatic staff, it's right around 105, 108, give or take, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay,
All right.
thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Okay, this next on reports, C is a review of general fee increases adopted by council. This is something I wanted to put on the agenda because I have some concerns. The rate hikes were adopted May 20th, 2025, and put into effect July 1st, 2025. It's park usage fees, the ramadas, tennis courts, pickleball, league fees, tournaments, field practices, games, aquatic fees, which is swim lessons and pool parties, lap swim. I guess I was wondering if, were the leagues told that there might possibly be some increases before they started?
It's not, oh, there we go. I actually did address it, and we did not enforce it with any of the leagues until their next upcoming season.
Okay, so like for instance, with the adult softball, I was wondering if they were going to be charged the older fees for the first half and then the second half since they're...
No, their whole season for the summer got charged the old fees. The new fees won't be implemented until their September season, and they were all made aware of that back in May.
Okay, because some people, all right, now the tennis and pickleball, are there signs saying that they went up out on the fences, or?
I don't know if they're on the fences, but there was a posting made that effective July 1st, there would be changes, because we didn't know for sure what those changes would be until they were adopted.
Okay, and who decides what they're going to be going up to?
So I think from my understanding,
I can talk about that. Basically, our fees hadn't been raised in 6 years. And so it was discussed with our internal staff, basically our finance department, our city manager. That's who all decided what the fees increases would be. So, and like I said, they hadn't been increased in 6 years, and we try to keep them affordable for people, so.
Well, I know there also are some things that hadn't, I think it's like 25 years that some have not been raked. And you know, I definitely understand why. I mean, your staff, they've gotten raises now and then, and some things hadn't been adjusted. So and that's not just for parks, recreation, aquatics. This is every department within the city. And I just didn't know if everyone knew that there were going to be usage fees. I don't know, as far as our commission, who knew about them. I don't know how many people go on the city website, and check and see that things like this are happening. I go on the website all the time because I like being informed. I also attend commission meetings, and yeah, I guess, okay, so May 20th is when they were adopted. Our May meeting was May 21st, and I don't believe anything was said at that meeting that fees were going to be raised. So we may have some people here that didn't know that rates were going to be going up. And I did have someone approach me, it was like the end of June or beginning of July, that said to me, well, aren't you on the park commission? And you should know this. And, well, I knew it because I do go on the website, but that comment was a little embarrassing because we weren't notified of this.
Yeah, if I could, that was the day before the meeting that was in the agendas for the meeting. Right now, we have to get the meeting agendas posted 2 or 3 weeks before with the new software program we have. We have to have all of our stuff for the meeting 2 or 3 weeks before the meeting. So that's why that wouldn't have been.
But just an announcement,
Yeah.
I mean, would have
And I
probably
think
been
the city did a
sufficed.
pretty good job. They did a press release saying it. So, I mean, it was in the, it was in everywhere that the city does a press release, got that. So I think they even had it on the digital signs that the rates were going up. They didn't have what every rate was going up, but they did say there were rate increases, and we had them by the cash registers, I know, at the golf course, and I thought we had them at a sign at our park office too, so.
Yeah, I know, last week attended the golf commission, and I know there was one member there who was a little upset about the rate hikes going up there, because they were hit pretty hard, if you ask me.
They're always going to be, everybody wants the rates never to go up, and I think our rates, even for our golf course, are very affordable. I mean, we had a consultant, even though this isn't a golf commission, but we had a consultant come in, and he said that our golf course is as good as any $65 golf course he sees. So, I mean, everybody wants the rates to stay low for whatever it is they use, so, but I think going forward, I believe the city is going to look more frequently about raising the rates instead of waiting 6 years to raise the rates, so.
Yeah, and also I've been on other cities' websites, and our rates are still very good compared to what they charge. So,
Karen, if you don't mind too, because I had to sit in on a lot of the rate increases or changes. They give us a worksheet, it's a spreadsheet, and there's formulas attached to it, and it says, how much time does it take to do this? How much time and manpower is spent on this? How much supplies or equipment is used on this? What kind of truck is used to do this? What kind of piece of equipment? So when they have us fill out this worksheet, we have to literally put in personnel, like for instance, a ball field reservation. That's going to take 3 minutes for an office attendant or the secretary or myself, somebody to make that reservation. It's going to take Matt another 2 or 3 minutes to figure out who's going to be assigned to maintain that field, how much manpower is spent to maintain that field, how much water is used, what workman is used. So when they have to take all these formulas, how much does those employees make? So when you're looking at those formulas, what our rates aren't even covering the total cost. So then it says, okay, how far are we going to drop them in order to not recover what it's costing us to do all of these? And again, like I said, a pickleball court, tennis court in the evening, $6. If they only rent one court and pay for one court, and we're paying a park ranger, with the employee burden rate comes out to like $17 or $18 an hour, that $6 they just paid to use that court doesn't even pay for the park ranger to be there to open up their court for them. So it's things like that that you have to look at. Were they coming up with these fees? Did we want to charge $20 for them to use a pickleball court? Of course not. But when you look at the burden rate on what it's costing us as employees or as an agency to facilitate everything, that's where we lose the money. The lights on a ball field, and like a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm paying for lights. No, you don't pay for lights. You pay because before 5 o'clock, one of us from the office can run out and open up that field if we need to. We can run out and open up that gate if we need to. That's why you pay less. in the evening after 5 o'clock has nothing to do with lights. It's because we have to pay additional staff after our normal business hours to facilitate. That's where the fees come in. But a lot of people are, I'm going to use the word, quote, uneducated, because they don't know. They think, oh, I'm paying for lights and I didn't get lights. I said, you're not paying for lights. Well, how come I have to pay more? I said, because our office closed at 5 o'clock. So, I mean, all of those factors have to go in. It's additional staff time that goes into some of these amenities that we have. Weekend ramadas, we're paying weekend duty people to come out, make sure those bathrooms are open, clean. The ramadas have new trash bags that they've been, picked up after the previous user. That's time spent, and all of that has to go into each of those amenities that are being reserved. That's it.
Thank you for explaining that, but you also said the formula, you said they, is that the finance department?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a whole algorithm that goes with it, and you just plug in the numbers of what it costs you, whether if it's 0.25 hours, 0.1 hours, whatever it costs to do that, and then it comes up with a figure and says, you should be charging this dollar amount. We look at it and go, we can't. We let them decide what they're going to end up charging, but we did the formula, we did the work, they came up with the rates.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for explaining all that. I think we're a little more educated. Okay, now we're on to D, the Trails Master Plan. The staff will provide the commission with a review of the community feedback at the Trails Master Plan Public Outreach Meeting that was held on August 12th, 2025.
Well, we got a lot of stuff up here. See if I can find it. So basically, this is just an update on not just all the information that we got, but it's an update on where we're at with the Trails Master Plan. Obviously, I think you all know that we hired J2 Engineering to do the master plan, and that's who we're working with on it. Basically, I like to always touch on this too. Trails were put into our department in 2018 with no budget, and I'm very proud of the job that our department's done, and the commission has done, and the council has done about getting all accomplish what we've gotten accomplished. I think we've gotten a lot of really good stuff done, but this master plan is going to guide us going into the future. So, like I said, I think it's really a good, it's a really cool project that we're working on. And in our parks master plan at the time, 70% of respondents at that master plan said that connectivity of trails were very important to their family. The I-40 interchange, I talked about this at another meeting. We have 3 interchanges going in here, which is real exciting, and so there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and it'd be nice if we could try to find ways to connect our city by trails, and so we can get bikes everywhere we got to go and all that good stuff. And so trail systems in the city and the surrounding area, basically for the city, we have the White Cliffs Trail System, Beal Loop Trail System, Camp Beal Springs, Beal Monolith Connector, Mojave Wash Path, I-40 Path, and Centennial Park Walking Path. And there some stuff that's co-managed basically with the Bureau of Land Management is Monolith Gardens, Foothills Rim, Cactus, Castle Rock Trail, Rattler Trail, Badger Trail, and Sidewinder Trail. So we co-manage that with BLM, and they've been great to work with. They've been super training me basically about trails over the years, so I appreciate them. And the Colorado River Trail Alliance, they're a great group that have been super helpful to me in looking at what we need to do going forward. And that's, I kind of like, when trails got put in our department, I got together with a lot of them and kind of like took their dream and our department moved it right along. So like I said, really proud of that. White Cliffs Trail System was 2 phases. We got $300,000 worth of grants to get it done. It's a beautiful area of White Cliffs, and you can get from our uptown to our downtown by this. So really proud of how that turned out. And Beal Loop Trail System, it's the trailhead. There's our largest parking lot, and there's access to the Monolith Gardens there, and there's possibly a future campground there, possibly someday is what we're talking about. That would be a nice thing to have. And I think with the interchange going in and really with the trails that we have, the biggest challenge is for people to come to town. Where can they park and where can they keep their bikes and their RVs and things like that? So it'd be cool if they were be cool if there was somewhere close by where they could utilize our restaurants and our bars and everything and enjoy our town. So Beal Loop reroutes, I don't know if anybody's been out there lately, but we've got a lot of really cool stuff that we've done this year. And we're going to even do another phase this winter to do some more work in that area. It turned out really good. We've added 2.2 miles of trails and restructured some of it. As I talked earlier about the Surbet Foothills Recreation Area, where it's co-managed with BLM, Beal Loop Trail System, and Monolith Gardens. Something else very important, I think, is utility easement trails. We'd like to get trails that will link areas of our city, and utility corridors are great places to do it. We'd like to link the East Branch to Wallapai Mountain Road, the Omaha Drive shared use path that's in the works right now. Our staff has got it all cleared, the brush cleaned, and it's going to be a paved trail that's going to go for a mile, which is going to be really a part of that whole trail, and that's going to be donated by Engel Homes. And that's part of the Kingman Crossing Regional Trail System, which is a section, the Wallapai Foothills area, basically, and will link areas of Kingman together. So this is the Omaha Drive shared use path. I think we've had this at several meetings that we've talked about, but we're excited about this. And like I said, our staff has it all done. We're still working with there's a property donation that we're kind of waiting on to get it done. There's one house that's on the section, and they're donating 2 little sections of their property on the end. And it's right where it's not where the trail's actually going to go, but it's where the trail clearing had to go. So that's in the works right now, and we're hopefully going to get that done. And there's also trail systems that go through our town, the Sun Corridor Trail, Arizona Peace Trail, and the Pie in the Sky Trail, which will be coming from the Wallapai Mountain down to the city of Kingman, which these are all important to our city, I think, because it gets people here. So like I said, we're excited about all of them, and we did our staff, I think, Matt did a lot of the work to getting the good information to our J2 Engineering, who's doing the trails, the master plan. So the Pie in the Sky Trail, I think, is really cool. It's going to start at the Wallapai Mountains. You know, it's 8,000 feet of elevation, and it's going to be a 5,000 vertical feet drop, and it's going to go 18 to 20 miles through 7 different ecosystems. So I think it's really a cool trail if we can get that moving along. So like I said, not very much of it is in the city, but very important to get it into our city. So, and the majority of that is on BLM land. So it's a lot. And what else I've said to the county and to BLM and CRADA, I say, if we all work together, we're a pretty powerful force. If we all are separate, working our own things, we're not as powerful. So I think and it shows that with what we've done with Arizona State Parks and Trails, getting the grants that we've gotten. So another area is the Petroglyphs Trail out on Northern. We'd like to have a trail out there that links up to Beal Loop. And trailheads currently in the city, the White Cliffs Trailhead, that's the oldest one, obviously. The Downtown South Trailhead, really proud of that, how that turned out, beautiful area. The North Trailhead by the golf course, really convenient, and I see a lot of people, and I'm kind of weird, I see people with bike racks on the back of their car, so I take pictures of them. But I just think it's kind of cool to see the people that are coming to our community and utilizing our trails. And I mentioned the Camp Beal Springs Trailhead. Those were all made bigger when we got a lot of soil that was used from some drainage work that the Public Works did. So I just think there's a lot of potential for a lot of good stuff, and we're working on it. And there's a picture of the South Trailhead. The White Cliffs Trail, I'm really proud of the job our parks team did there, building the bridge and making it bike accessible, and just really turned out good. And Camp Beal Springs, there's a lot of historic value there, obviously. Trailheads needed. The Sun Corridor Trail, I talked about those. So we need basically trailheads where people can bring their ATVs, horse trailers, and things like that and park. And it's kind of challenging to get that because those need to be near interchanges as best you can make it. And the property near interchanges is very valuable. So I just think it's important that we continue to look and try to, and J2 Engineering knows about this and they're looking at all that. Trailhead standards would be identified in this master plan. And there's something else we'd like to do is a bike park at Palo Christi School, behind the school there. The school owns that property, and I've talked briefly with Gretchen Dorner about this, and I think they're excited about something there. We tried to buy the property up behind Palo Christi School, but the property owners wanted 3 times the appraised value, and I just couldn't bring it to myself to bring to the council and the commission to spend 3 times the appraised value to put some trails in there. I don't think it would have gotten done. So, but it really would be a cool thing. And like I said, this is a true community project. Obviously, mayor and council, this commission, community members, Colorado River Trail Alliance, BLM, City of Kingman departments, Matt mentioned it, engineering's been great to work with, Josh, who snuck out of here. They've all done a lot of really, really good stuff, and so we're happy to have that. Arizona State Parks and Trails, Mickey Rogers retired, who's the chief of grants. I'm not sure who the new chief of grants is gonna be, but we really got a lot of work done with that when Mickey was there. So I'm looking forward to meeting with them at next week's meeting at APRA. So, a parks team, I can't say enough about the job Matt has done on the trails. And basically, so with J2 came to a meeting the other day that we had here, which all of you were there, and I really appreciate it. And they're working with the information that they got. And I thought it was really a cool project, how they did it, where they got input from everybody, and it wasn't like one group or one faction could say, oh, we want all horse trails. If it would have been all the horse people in here, then we'd have just that information. So I think it was really cool how they had that, where you put your pins and your dots where you wanted them, and I think it was a really good, so we're getting input from everybody. And really what was interesting, they said that the turnout that we had was better than they've seen. They've had, at much bigger cities than Kingman, they've had 4 people show up. And we had near 50 people, or excess of 50 people show up. So I think it was really a good exercise, and really looking forward to see what they come up with. So that's about all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just a question on the Pie in the Sky will be one of the premier shuttle rides in North America. When you say shuttle, we're gonna have a shuttle?
Well, if we can hopefully find a company that will shuttle people to the top, and so they can only ride down. So,
Okay.
you know, and it's something that we could do, or we could contract somebody to do that. So it's not, you know, and you're welcome to ride your bike all the way up to the top of the mountain too, and then come back down. But so, anyways, but we just think that's something that would be cool if that can happen.
You, me, you.
I was going to explain that shuttle is usually defining as like a gravity-oriented trail where you're usually driven to the top instead of, you know, riding to the top. And it could be self-supported. It could be, there's companies that do it. We get maybe the city to get a bus route up there would be great. And yeah.
I know a lot of, just piggybacking on what you said, a lot of businesses downtown are really buzzing about, ooh, this could really be some great potential for people to come and eat and shop and all of that downtown. So it could really be a great thing for our community. I just wanted to, just to clarify, I went to the meeting. It was really cool. It was great to see what everybody was doing. I was super proud that you guys, had we had this meeting 5 years ago, there would have been pins in every single amenity, but you guys have done so much with trails. It's like, we got that, we got that, we got that, you know, so really our multi-use trails are so awesome. I guess I'm wondering, just personally and from some other people that spoke to me and asked for me to kind of represent them at that meeting. I wasn't sure what the structure was going to be, but to represent the commuting kind of people that need and would aspire to commute on bicycles within our city. So I know we have like the one, the Kingman Wash, or Mojave Wash, and that's such a great trail, but it goes in one direction, and there's a couple spaces I think that will be addressed where, you know, maybe there's a crosswalk or something that will help kind of connect the two parts of it. But there's, in other communities, they have things like bicycle boulevards and stuff where they identify side roads that are parallel to really busy roads, but they're safer for people to be on bicycles. And then you just make it a lot more visible. This is a shared boulevard for bikes and cars. And one of the reasons I'm so motivated is because my parents leave for the summer and they ride about 20 miles a day on their bicycles, and then they come home and they don't feel safe riding on the streets. I know the city's doing a lot to, every time there's a new road that's built, putting in bicycle tracks, and so I think people, or paths, are really grateful for that. But I wonder if doing this trail plan, if it would be helpful to maybe designate some potential future bicycle boulevards or something that can connect our trails within the city for commuting. So when the time comes, if grants come about or anything, this is within the plan.
I think that is, and it also is in the city's transportation plan. That's who, it's in there, and that part of it on the streets is more in public works area, but it is identified in their transportation master plan.
Okay, that's great. That is actually was going to be my next question,
Yeah.
because I know like the Mojave Wash is a designated trail. And then if these shared roads, that makes sense that it would be with transportation.
Yeah, and it's also really, we've got to, not only myself, but a couple other directors and I and the chief of police, we're going to have to do a report to council in the near future. That with electric bikes, it's really challenging. So you see electric bikes riding on the sidewalks and doing things, you're supposed to ride a bike the same direction you ride a car and all that. And it's like, people just don't know what they're doing. And with the electric bikes, they're great. I have one, I love them, but they're, you see kids riding a wheelie down the street on it. It's like, we're having a First Friday event and you see kids riding a wheelie down the middle of the street. It's like, so I think we've got to educate people really a lot about things like that. So, and that's what we're going to be presenting to council in the near future. And I'm not sure exactly when, but
Yeah.
the mayor asked for that. So I think it's important.
Yeah, I think so too, and that all goes back to making the roads or having some, more clear designated spaces where people have bicycle awareness and awareness of cruising super fast down the cross. I mean, they wouldn't be on the sidewalks if there was a little more safety on the roads, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it is challenging here. Like, even the bike paths on Andy Devine, it's narrow and it's challenging, and people are going fast. So it's really. But there are corridors like you're talking about. I think like Fairgrounds. Go on Fairgrounds instead of Stockton Hill Road. So I mean, there's areas like that I think is what you're talking about. So anyway.
But I have one thing. Did they leave some of these behind? The group that put that on? Or is this?
Those are ours.
Those are ours?
We did those, yeah.
Okay.
Matt and our engineering department and Josh were very instrumental in that.
Okay. Because I was wondering if, like, on the tourism's website, if they could put something, even if it's just this map.
Yeah, I believe they have it. I'm not sure if they have it on their website yet, but if not, it will be there.
Well, I looked at yesterday because I was curious.
Yeah,
and
those just got finished like about a month ago, maybe. So I mean, we've been pushing to get all these things done. So
And yeah, it was explained to us also about about the fold out that this pertains to this
Right.
and this pertains to that. So that was nice. That I guess you can't call it a meeting that we went to.
Well, yeah, it was an open house basically to get information from the public. And
Yeah, the
like I said, I think it was
outreach.
really cool when they told me that they've had meetings like that and 4 people show up, and we had the amount of people turn out that we had. I think it shows that trails and paths are important to the people in our community.
Yeah. Okay. So where can people find an actual? Is there
We
some?
have them at the park office, and I think Josh has them at Powerhouse.
Okay. Let's see. Do you ever think about, I don't know, about a kiosk on a couple of the trails? You never know if somebody's just gonna take them and
Yeah.
fly in the wind. But even if there's some kind of picture, some kind of kiosk with a picture of that.
Well, there's a scan, you can scan the, and we have the scan signs at the park where you scan that and it pulls that up. So-
Yeah, sometimes you can't see on my phone.
A lot of people, when they're using the trails, will use, and this is actually a really great point, but a lot of people will take a picture of that first trail map and then you have it on your phone. But in some places like Flagstaff at that Pepsi amphitheater, at a lot of their different intersections on the trail, they have another smaller map. And boy, that really helps to kind of, for us, for myself and some other people that aren't that great with like orienting yourself in space, that's really nice to have at all the little turns.
Well, it's funny that you say that. What I say is all of us are getting worse at that because we plug GPS into the phone and it tells us how to get from here to the meeting we're going to. So, I mean, everything you do, you
Yeah.
plug into GPS and you don't use your instincts that you used to use. So I'm getting a little bit off track, but I
Yeah.
think,
Maybe you need a compass.
yeah.
I really like the distances put on here. I like to know how far we're walking, so I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Now, E is the market feasibility analysis study, the final report for proposal of a sports event or recreation facility. I asked for this. I didn't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Basically, that was they've had a company that's been working on it for a long time, and they presented it to the council, and basically, it's going to be up to the council to decide what avenue we want to go. And I think what's important for this commission, basically, is that if it's going to take a bond issue to pass, to make that happen, to make a lot of things happen in our department, basically in our golf course and the parks and all these different things, Sunbelt Park, a recreation center, all that's probably going to likely be part of a bond issue at some point. And that's where we're going to need people like yourselves all to be supportive of it. So, and what I say it kind of showed in my feeling is that we definitely need a recreation center with basketball courts and all that, and it'd be nice if it could open up to be able to host big events, but like we looked at a couple different ones. We looked at one in Prescott and we looked at one in Cottonwood, and the one in Cottonwood I think is kind of more like what we need, and the one in Prescott Valley is more of a basketball arena that you'd have a semi-pro team or a semi-pro hockey team and all that. And I don't know that, and I said this kind of all along, that I don't know that that's what we need as much as we need in our department anyways. We know we need a recreation center, gymnasiums and stuff, so we can have our sports events there and all the stuff that we do. It'd be nice to have a beautiful facility for that. So, and I think this plan that they showed, the research that they did shows that that's needed for sure. So, any rate, I don't know if anybody else saw the presentation, and I've seen several of them, and that's kind of what my feeling is, take on it. But
Yeah, I went to that meeting. Does anybody have any questions on that topic?
it's a really big ticket item, obviously. I think it was 30 million or 50 million. So 30 million sounds more palatable to me than 50 million. But at any rate, so there's just different things that are the council's gonna give us direction, I guess, which way we're gonna go. So that's kind of where we're at with it right now.
Okay,
That's about it. Thank you.
thank you. 5, we have announcements by commission members. What? Sure. Anybody have any? Okay, well, I got a full page here.
Look at you.
Okay, in July, I attended, I did not run the Mud Mania course. My grandkids did. And I want to thank you, Matt, and your crew. I also attended the Heritage Preservation Commission in July because I was interested to see what they wanted to be done with the historical water tower in Hubbs Park. And they had some nice suggestions, actually, about possibly putting it at the museum outdoors to get out of Hubbs Park, because it is kind of, it could be a deterrent, but anyway, it's, all right. The multi-purpose meeting for the survey results on the rec center, that's what we just discussed. I also went to the kayak, that's Kingman Youth Advisory Council. There was quite a spirited group of teenagers but they had several good ideas. And they also went to the League of Cities, some of them. Let's see, City of Kingman Recreation Trails Master Plan. I think most of us attended that last week. And let's see, I was just gonna say, I just love this pamphlet. This is really good. Now, some things we have coming up. First Friday, September 5th, Mojave County Fair, September 11th to the 14th. Chillin' on Beale, September 20th. The rodeo, September 26, 27. The Annie Divine Days Parade, and if you're available, please judge. First Friday, October 3rd. And then you've got Kingman 66 Rotary Club's 17th Annual Brews and Brats Oktoberfest, and that's at October 3rd and 4th at Metcalf Park. And then the I Love 66 Festival the following weekend, October 10th and 11th at Lewis Kingman. And then Chillin' on Beale again, October 18th. And there's also many other things going on. You also always have the, every weekend, where you can get vegetables and stuff at these markets. And I have one more thing, which is rather sad. I don't know if you all know, but Jerry Sipe, our park superintendent, had passed away. They'll do a celebration of life in September, when his best friend can get into town, and we'll let you know if you'd like to attend to go to that. And Jerry was a good guy. I really loved him. Matt, thanks for stepping up big time. Mr. Director, Mike,
Okay.
you're up.
Basically, I would like to say for sure thank you to Yvonne and Matt. Without Jerry, they've done such a great job of keeping our stuff going. So, and they also, Recreation did a great job of welcoming our new golf pro. We had an open house for him, and our Recreation department did all the work and put it together really nice. So I think I really appreciate them. Also, we have a new park superintendent hired who's going to start September 2nd, so it'll lighten Matt's workload a little bit. So I'm happy to have him coming. His name is Mike Hubble. He's got over 20 years' experience in the San Diego County parks. So I think he's got a lot of really good experience, and he did a really good job of sharing a lot of good information with us. And so we're excited to get him in here, and a lot of good stuff going on. So and our next meeting is November the 19th. So thank you all.
Well, if there's nothing else, requests for future reports or updates? Does anyone have, you did? Okay.
I was wondering if we might be able to discuss and look at some wayfinding signs to all these beautiful trailheads that you guys have been working on. Maybe from like the main roads and all the little intersections on your way.
Yeah, we could put something on the agenda about that, and a lot of that will be more public works than us, but we can give them guidance of what we want. I think it's a good idea that we do get some more of that.
And give them a little direction?
yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anyone else have any requests? I have one. Since we gotten a $7,500 grant for the boxcar pedestrian bridge design at Lewis Kingman, could we have that on the agenda, next agenda in November? Or at least an update on that? Okay, anything else? Well, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the PART Commission. Anyone?
Move to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. This meeting.